And our LinkedIn. Yeah, we are live. Kia ora tato. Welcome to another Q&A here at Digital Boost. I'm Georgia Hatzis, your host, and today I feel really, really lucky to have Jeremy Johnson with us from Rocketspark. Jeremy is the co-founder of Rocketspark. He's also in charge of the product development side, or the product leads, and he is a website developer. You may recognize his last name from Grant Johnson, who's also a co-founder, and he's been with us before from Rocketspark. I would say they're probably not related, but they're totally related. So we've got a little family business here going here in Aotearoa, which I love. And, we love to support Rocketspark. Today, we're going to be talking about using AI to create, update, and optimize your website. We had a lovely workshop with Tyron Noble from Rocketspark and with Grant. This was a few months ago, and we did cover their new AI tool called Flint. And that's why we were talking about bringing them on to do a webinar, because I wanted to get this out to all of you to see how AI is being used right now to create websites, to make it easy for you, and to help optimize SEO, blogging, all of that. So Jeremy's going to talk us through how this goes. We're going to talk a little bit about Flint, but then Jeremy's also going to talk about all the other AI tools you can use for your website and web optimization. Jeremy, welcome.
Thanks,
Lovely
Georgia.
to have you.
Yeah, great to be here. Yeah.
Before we get going, I'm just going to do a little bit of admin for everyone. Those of you who are attending live, if you have questions for us, please ask them. That's what we're here for. There's a Q&A function in the Zoom. So pop into that, ask me any questions, and I can feed them into Jeremy. If you are on our LinkedIn, our Facebook, or YouTube, you can put your comments in there. I will keep an eye out for them. And otherwise, we are ready to go. Thanks again for coming, Jeremy. I know this takes a lot of time out of your day, and I know you guys are really busy. So welcome.
Thanks for having me, Georgia. So I'll be doing a bit of a tasting platter of different ways that you can use AI to optimize and update your website. So some of that will be using our AI tool Flint, which is fully baked into Rocketspark and accessible for anyone that creates a website with Rocketspark, but also showing some of the things that ChatGPT can do as well alongside that. So ChatGPT being an online AI tool that you can sign up to. Probably a lot of people have heard of it, whether you've used it yet or not. Some of the things with ChatGPT we'd probably like to bring into Flint in future, but for now we'll be using a bit of both. So I'll get started. So the first thing I'm keen to show is effectively, if you're starting from scratch with your website, a homepage can be pretty overwhelming to know where to start in terms of written content. And so let me just share my screen here. And Flint can actually write the entire homepage of content for you. So
I know that was the really cool thing that we saw in the workshop that a lot of people who are attending now probably didn't get to see. And just a heads up for you, Jeremy, we love AI at Digital Boost. Like anything AI, we're here for it. So bring it on.
Yeah. I mean, even when we were building Flint, there were so many times where I was just sitting at my desk and seeing the content that it was returning, and I just sort of laughed to myself with amazement at what the AI could create. But it's some people will use ChatGPT to try and generate content for their business and find that it sounds a bit robotic, or doesn't sound like them, or sounds like an aggressive sales pitch, or sounds quite unnatural. So with Flint, sort of the secret sauce is getting content that sounds really natural and sounds like your business and sounds like you might have written it. And so when someone comes to your website, they'll relate with you rather than feeling like, oh, did AI write this content? So in order to get access to this, go to rocketspark.com and click Get Started. And then the Do-It-Yourself Website Builder option here. So we've just got a sign-up form here. So I'll just put in some very quick information here. So we've got a 30-day free trial where you can give this all a go before you commit to paying anything. So just click sign up there.
And just to be clear, we're not trying to get you to sign up for Rocketspark or for Flint. We're just showing you the Flint option. But if you do want to sign up for Rocketspark, go for it. You do get this 30-day free trial, which is great to play around with Flint. I thought it was a lot of fun. And We had a lot of fun when we were playing with it within the workshop. So it's really cool to see what it does. It's such a quick and easy tool. I hope I'm not playing it up too much, Jeremy.
There we go. Cool. So you can choose from a range of templates here. Thanks, Georgia. My internet was briefly playing up, and that is not ideal for a demo, but here we go. We're in. So these little lightning bolt ones here are the ones that are really well optimized for writing with Flint. So I'm just going to start with this template. You can use any template because effectively it will rewrite the content. So this is a physio template, but the example that I'm going to be doing is a plumbing and gas fitting business called Cooking with Gas. So it's a fictional business. Sorry if there is any real businesses out there called Cooking with Gas. Okay, so I've just picked that template. It's creating my site. And so what we'll get next is there'll be a little questionnaire where it'll ask me some information about my business. So things like your business name, how many years you've been in business, and that kind of thing. Cool. So Flint can auto create your perfect content. So business name, Cooking with Gas. What type of business do you have? Plumbing and gas fitting. Where is your business based? Let's say Hastings, New Zealand. When did you start? So 2015. So this will adapt, how it's talking about how long you've been in business and that kind of thing. Team size, let's say it's a small team of 5. So the vibe of our business, what do you reckon, Georgia? Friendly?
I think friendly for sure. How about a passionate? I want to know about passionate plumbing. What's that going to be?
Okay. Yeah, and maybe thoughtful to balance out the passionate. So we've got this extra field here where you can give even more instruction to Flint. So I prepared a little blurb here that I'll paste in. So Cooking with Gas, great at explaining projects simply, a small family-run business. We know what it's like to have tradies around your place, and we're considerate of your space and environment with a combined 25. Oh, so it's not actually, let me remove that one. There isn't a plumbing or gas fitting project or problem we haven't solved. We work on everything from villa renovations to multi-million-dollar house builds to entire rest-home development. So if we click next, it'll take all of that information into account when it writes the content. So effectively in the background here, the AI is going away, analyzing the information that we've given it, and it's going, okay, what is going to be some good content for this page? Taking into account best practice, it considers SEO, all of those things. So typically takes 30 to 40 seconds to go away and generate the whole page of content. Cool, almost there. So you'll see here it's now replacing the template content with text that it's written for this business. So bathroom renovation, hot water heaters, gas fireplaces, gas fitters Hastings relies on, family-run business, 5-star service. So you can see the information that we gave it is permeating through the text. And the way it's been written, it sounds like a New Zealand plumbing and gas fitting business. So yeah, it just fast tracks that process of getting the initial homepage content. So there's one aspect of Flint is creating a whole homepage of content. The other aspect is inside any block.
Before you go on, I just want to let's really, really take a look at this. This was 30 seconds tops, and we created your landing page for your website.
That's right.
You did a couple of prompts, and yes, of course, we're going to go back in. We're going to take a look. We can edit it all, but within less than a minute, we've got the start of a website.
That's right. Yeah. So it significantly fast tracks that process, especially if you're doing it yourself and don't have the budget to work with a professional writer. We still see value in professional writers, and they do an amazing job. So if you do have the budget for that, we still think that's a great idea. But so many businesses don't have the budget to work with a professional writer, and this is going to be significantly better than what they might generate on their own, handwriting it from scratch. So
We've got
yeah,
I was going to say we've got a quick question as well before we go on to all of the editing and the other aspects of it is what type of privacy settings does the Flint AI have? How is the personal data being used?
so it's effectively the same as if you were using the paid ChatGPT, which is it's not the information isn't being shared with ChatGPT for the purpose of training ChatGPT. So we use Google Gemini and ChatGPT behind the scenes via their APIs in order to power this. But yeah, it's the data isn't shared for public purposes on that side. Yeah.
Great. And then we're about to cover this question, but I'm gonna read it out loud so that we know where we're going. Just a bit confused about the Bayview Physio heading and the pictures that don't align with plumbing. Where did that come from? So that would be the template, Larry. And then what we're gonna do now is go back and look at all of the places where then you can fill in your stuff, your logo and all that. So Jeremy, I'll let you take that away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So in future, we'd love to have a version of Flint where it automatically adapts the images for your industry as well. But so this is just in terms of replacing the logo from the template. You can hit this edit pencil here and replace that logo, upload your logo file. You can hit edit on any of these pictures, replace the photo, and it'll update that. But what I'll focus on for this next bit is actually refining the text, because it might get 80% of the way there with this whole page writing, but you might want to tweak certain things. So with this heading here, maybe I want to improve it a little bit. So I might just hit edit there, and there is actually an auto option. So let's see how that goes. Oh, yeah, that sounds pretty good. So you can make it longer just with a single push button here. Make it shorter. So it's a little bit too focused on gas. So I want to say we aren't just gas fitters. We also do general plumbing services. Make sure the heading includes that. So you can give Flint instructions like that, just like you would on ChatGPT. And so if we hit that, let's see how it goes. First, your cooking and plumbing needs with our expert team. Okay, I want it to include something location relevant about where we are, i.e. Hastings. So it's effectively going to rewrite this heading, elevate your Hastings home with our expert plumbing and cooking solutions. So you can do that inside headings or paragraphs as well. So with this paragraph here, we could say make it longer. You can click that multiple times. The other thing that's really handy is this make it easier to read button. So if you're say a technical expert in your business area, you might find it easy to write about your business, but difficult to write it in a way that non-technical potential customers would interpret it. So being able to write your own text up here, select it and say make it easier to read, it'll just automatically clean that text up for you. So yeah, that's sort of highlighting and refining text. I mean, even you can highlight individual words, and use it almost like a thesaurus. Let's try it on this one. We have encountered and solved every problem. Say auto on that one. We've met and solved every problem under the sun. So you can sort of highlight as much or as little text as you want. The other thing that's kind of cool is if you've got an empty block here, you can auto write a paragraph from scratch, and it will take into account the text that's around it, take into account the heading. You can do the same thing with headings. So if we look at, this is a hot water installation paragraph, we can say, let's generate a heading for this one. So it's given a contextually relevant heading to the paragraph, but it's a bit long compared to the other one. So let's say make it shorter. So yeah, really kind of handy tools that speed up the writing process, which I know for a lot of people, they find that kind of quite tedious website design. So the next thing I want to actually do is jump over to ChatGPT and show how to generate a website sitemap. So when you're thinking, you're right at the start of your website journey, you're thinking, what pages do I even need on my website? It's a little bit tricky to kind of wrap your head around that. And so I'm just going to use this prompt here that I've pre-written. And just as I mentioned, so I'm using the paid version of ChatGPT here. And mainly that's because of the privacy stuff, that anything that I share with it, it's not shared with ChatGPT for the purpose of training that. So I've written a prompt here: create a typical website sitemap for a plumbing and gas fitting business in New Zealand called Cooking with Gas. Also, under each page name, list what should go on that page. I will use a blog area for tips and tricks and advice. So if we just hit this here, so that's giving me a sitemap of suggested pages for my business, and also what information it recommends should go on those pages. So it just gives you a bit of an outline of ideas for your website. So while that's just going down there, I'm going to scroll back to the top here. So we've got home, about us, services, projects, the blog, which I gave you the instructions on, testimonials, contact us, FAQs. And then within those, so if we look at services, service categories, plumbing services, gas fitting services, residential projects, commercial projects, emergency services. So, and then when you go into your website tool and Rocketspark, it's our manage pages area, just a matter of adding the page for each of those things. And yeah, so that's how you generate a sitemap with ChatGPT, really easy. So the next thing I want to...
I just wanted to check, is it worth checking tone in when creating a sitemap? Could you say like, I've got a website and doing the sitemap seems to be like really, like this seems really almost clinical and dry. If you're like, I want pages that are more witty or friendlier, or could you do something like that and it would create that for you, or?
Yeah. So I'll talk about tone of voice next, actually, because this
Okay.
is, as you say, this is just sort of like a skeleton framework for the content, but not the content itself. So once you set up those pages, then it's a matter of going into the pages. And in a little bit, I'll show a demo of a yet to be released feature for doing effectively the homepage content generation, but on any page. But in the interim, I will talk about that tone of voice piece, because this is really important for the way Flint works, but it's also important for getting the most out of ChatGPT if you're getting it to write for your business. So when people will say things like, oh, AI kind of sounds a bit robotic or doesn't sound like me, typically it's they're not giving it enough instruction around how you want it to write for your business, what it should sound like. So with Flint, that those options that we chose of I can't remember what the buttons that we clicked were, but it was like
friendly,
friendly,
passionate,
passionate, yes,
thoughtful. Yeah.
and also that blurb that I pasted in. Flint uses that to create a tone of voice blurb, which is sort of like it uses as its guidelines for how it should write. And so anything it writes is going to be consistent and true to that. And so you can do that with ChatGPT as well. So in ChatGPT, you can go into, I'm having a mind blank about where this is. Here we go, personalization, custom instructions. So did I go too fast on that? Should I do that again? No, it's all good. Cool. So there's these things here called custom instructions, and effectively it's like Flint takes care of this in the background, but with ChatGPT you can enter this in. So with Rocketspark here, this is our custom instructions that help us when we write content. So when writing about Rocketspark, apply the following tone style guide. So our brand voice statement, we speak like we're chatting at a barbecue, but always with empathy, but never actually talk about barbecues or dinner parties, because AI loves getting really hung up on really specific things. One thing we found when we were writing for a New Zealand audience that loved talking about kumara, Um, it's like, don't talk about Kimura. Yeah. But brand attributes, so approachable, supportive and caring. And so this is all of the stuff where we tell it how we want it to talk. And so then when you're writing with ChatGPT, the quality of the content that you get is going to be a lot better. So there's two fields here where you can add those instructions.
Quick question that's come up here. Can you customize the same on Gemini? I really don't find the output from GPT very useful. However, Gemini has been working well for us so far.
I haven't actually experimented with that on Gemini. We can control that with Flint, which uses Gemini and ChatGPT. Generally, I've found the quality, and sort of other commentators I've heard sort of suggest that the quality of ChatGPT is usually better than Gemini for writing. But it comes down to the quality of your custom instructions, I think. So if you're not getting the results that you're after with ChatGPT, I'd suggest looking at those custom instructions and improving or adding detail in terms of what you're telling it. Yeah, but one of the things we did as well to generate our custom instructions was we had some text from our kind of canon of brand content that we were like, yeah, that really sounds like us. We put a lot of time into that. So we actually put that into ChatGPT and said, looking at this text, what would you say the brand attributes are of this content? And it actually told us. And so we sort of reverse engineered our custom instructions for AI from text that we had actually written ourselves previously. So a prompt, I won't do that here for time, but looking at the prompt that I use is looking at the text from this website. How would you describe our brand tone of voice? As a tone of voice statement of brand attributes is kind of all you need to say. So if we say here in an example, I do this a lot with marketing content and product content that Rocketspark does, but so I say, in Rocketspark tone of voice, write a blurb about how you can write a whole page of content for your website using Flint, our handy AI writing assistant. So I'll always, even though it's in the custom instructions, the AI has a tendency to be a bit lazy. So you have to remind it to do things in the Rocketspark tone of voice for us, or your business tone of voice. Looking to create a whole page of content for your website without breaking a sweat? Say hello to Flint, our handy AI writing assistant. Flint makes content creation a breeze, helping you craft engaging, high-quality text in no time. So it feels maybe a little bit overdone. So something I'll often say is like tone it down a little. And it'll just, it's sort of like a temperature gauge. It's like tone it down or make it a bit more exciting or anything like that. So you need to write a whole page of content for your website. Meet Flint, our handy AI writing assistant. So the breaking a sweat bit felt a bit unnatural to me. And so, yeah, you can quite easily, once you have the custom instructions set up to represent your business well, it's quite easy to then kind of adjust the flavor of what you get back. So the next thing I want to cover off is looking at SEO. So if we go back to Flint here, go into this little lightning bolt, you can actually do your title and description tags with Flint as well. So Flint will write a SEO meta description for you. So Hastings, plumbing and gas fitting, cooking with gas, reliable, friendly, local, servicing Hastings since 2015. So this is something that Flint can speed up for you. Or if you're not using Rocketspark, you can generate all of your title and description tags using ChatGPT as well. And so one other thing as well, in terms of using AI to write content, so blog posts can be an effective way to show your knowledge on a topic. So in the context of our cooking with gas, plumbing and gas fitting example, our gas hot water pressure is a little bit average at the moment and probably need someone to look at it. And so something that I might want to read before choosing a plumber / gas fitter is how would they solve that? What would they do about it? But I don't want a really technical one. So if I wanted to, let's say I was a plumber gas fitter and I wanted to write a blog post about that. So I've got a prompt here for ChatGPT. Write a blog post for a plumber called Cooking with Gas about how to diagnose issues with Rinnai style gas hot water pressure. What are your options? what are some of the common causes and how can they be resolved? So I use this as a starting point to create the outline for a blog post. So ChatGPT does a pretty good job of kind of giving a fairly basic blog post outline. So it's sort of covering and quite listy, so it's not necessarily going to be super engaging straight off the bat. One of the things to bear in mind with writing blog posts with AI as well is people are kind of like, oh yeah, I can create blog posts in 5 minutes. I'm going to pump out 100 blog posts, but it's actually it's still about the quality. So we find with our blog posts, the difference in engagement time is quite significant. Some blog posts people will on average read for quite a few minutes because it's a really engaging topic that even though we've used AI to help us write it, we've still put a bunch of time into crafting it. Whereas some of the other ones that we'll write by hand without AI might get less engagement because the topic and all of those things. So something we'll always try and weave in is, other quotes and comments from other people. So it's not just our voice, we'll weave in images. But with this one, it feels a bit too much like a big list. Rewrite it to be more relatable to non-technical potential customers. Make it conversational and feel like a bit of a magazine article. So then that'll rewrite that.
And question for you then regarding CEO. Oh, wait, that would be me, the CEO of Digital Boost. No, jokes. The SEO, we've got a question in here. Can you please advise if using AI for generating text has any negative consequences on Google search optimization? I understand that websites are penalized in search rankings when text is not original/repetitive, for example. So in this way, where we're generating all this text, how does this work for SEO?
Yeah, so it's an interesting topic, and Google typically keeps their cards fairly close to their chest of exactly what they're doing, except for the leak that happened recently where they some of the information actually got out. But the SEO experts that we've spoken with in our own experience is Google loves high quality content. And if you pump out a whole bunch of low quality content with AI, that content is going to rank badly, just like poor quality non-AI content. If you use AI as a tool to create amazing content, Google will see that content. So there's blog posts that are doing amazingly well on our blog that I used AI as an assist. It didn't write it word for word. Like I made a bunch of modifications and added quotes from other people. So ultimately, it comes down to the quality. And one of the SEO experts that I spoke to, he sort of said his view. Again, this is opinion, but his view is that the bar that Google is having for whether AI generated content is going to be penalized is quite low. So if you're generating content that's legitimately helpful for your audience, that's going to be well above the bar of the kind of stuff, the kind of spammy news articles that they're looking to remove off search. So ultimately, it comes down to are you using it to produce good quality content? When people go there, are they staying on the page for a long time, really engage with it? Yeah. One other thing just with these blog posts. So I find after 2 or 3 iterations of giving instructions on the whole blog post, typically I'll copy and paste the whole blog into a Google Doc, and then I'll take individual paragraphs back across to ChatGPT and refine paragraph by paragraph. And again, it's just that level of detail and kind of craftsmanship where you can use AI as a tool rather than kind of spending 5 minutes and producing a generic blog post and calling it done, because in that way you might be less likely to perform well in Google search than if you really make it a strong piece of content. And the last thing, I think I've got about a minute here before we move into Q&A, is you can use ChatGPT as well to review your website. So if your website's public, you could put in your website URL and ask for advice on how to improve the SEO of your website. If your website's not live yet, you can just copy all of the text on the website and paste that into ChatGPT and say, how could I improve the content of this page from an SEO point of view, and it'll give you advice of what you could do to improve that, which is really helpful because sometimes it's hard to know where to begin with that kind of thing. But I think that's everything from me, Georgia. So
no, that's great. If any of you who are watching now have questions, please pop them into our Q&A. There was a question that popped up. One of our attendees had popped in a little bit late. Just to clarify the concept around Flint and ChatGPT, and Flint is its own tool that Rocketspark has created, and they're using that on their to build websites. And so you can go and play around in that. You've got a 30-day free trial to play around in that and see how that works. And Jeremy, are we doing that? It's just the homepage right now. That's right.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't actually show that. So we are working on something that I can show. It's still under construction, so bear that in mind if it doesn't rewrite all of the content. But I can show a little bit of a demo of what we're working on around other pages. So if we go,
because I just want to be clear before we get going with this bit, is it was created just to give you a landing page, to give you your homepage, so that you can kind of have a jumping off point for your design for your website. And as we saw earlier in this session, it was within 30 seconds, we had a landing page. And then as far as going to the other pages, so going then to ChatGPT, we went into ChatGPT to play around with making that sitemap. And then now you're showing us this capability that you're working on, which we said this is still in beta, right? We're not really, it's still got some little buggies in it.
Yeah, but, actually pre-beta even. So this is really early stage stuff. So little caveat there. So there's a few kinks with it, but it shows you the general idea of what's going to be possible once we release this. So here's let's roll the dice and see how we go. So effectively, if you go to any blank page, I've created this page, which is gas fitting. So I want a page just about our gas fitting services specifically, which having landing pages on a really specific topic is good for SEO, because if someone searches for gas fitting, that page might show up in search results and someone can go there and find out the exact information that they're after. But there's this auto write button here, which if I click that, Flint can auto write your page content, tell us what this page is for. I can paste in this text here. So this page is about our gas fitting services. Our gas fitting services involve setting up gas hot water systems for fast unlimited water heating, a great modern option when replacing old hot water cylinders. We also set up gas for kitchen cooking. So if we say create content here, again, it's having a think about the instructions we've given it. It's going away and picking some page layouts that might be suitable. So with this this version of the whole page writing, it won't add in template images. So it'll be just sort of some placeholder spaces where images could go. So you can go and easily replace those with your own images.
Can we talk about images after this session, after this part?
Yes, I actually skipped that bit. So, but we can totally cover that.
Here's another question while we're waiting here. Can you use Flint and or ChatGPT to develop a website on Squarespace or other subscription models, or can you only use it to build a website from scratch?
So Flint is a Rocketspark feature exclusive to Rocketspark. ChatGPT can be used no matter what website platform that you're on. The advantage of Flint is that it's fully integrated into the editing process. So you'll see here that on this gas fitting page, it's gone through and it's writing a whole lot of content specifically about gas fitting. So it's actually worked pretty well, which is good. So gas hot water setup. We're adept at installing gas hot water systems. Replace your old hot water cylinder with state-of-the-art gas system for a faster, more efficient way to heat water. So you imagine you go through, 5-6 pages of your website and do this. Create an about us page for us. Here's some information about us. Writes the about page. How quickly this could accelerate things. Or setting up landing pages if you've got an existing website. Want gas for cooking? If you're eager to enjoy the benefits of cooking with gas, our team is here to help. We can set up gas for your kitchen, providing you with a convenient and efficient way to cook your meals. And again, you can go into these and reword it. So that word adept sounds a little bit sort of formal. So let's say, sounds a little bit formal. Make it more everyday. need a new hot water system, we'll come and install a top of the range gas system for you. It'll be a lot faster and cheaper than your old hot water cylinder. So just really kind of simple everyday speak. So yeah, this one here is like having ChatGPT right inside your website editing experience. Yeah, and then there's these make it shorter and longer options. But on the image generation, so the ChatGPT paid version, I think maybe the free version now, I'm not actually sure, has the ability to generate images. There's a few things to keep in mind with AI image generation. So I've
And just quick before we jump to AI, I know we want to cover images, but right here in the Flint is the font fully customizable. You can put in your own brand font and everything. Is that right? Or is it just what the
yes,
template has?
no, that's right. So you can go in and you can change the fonts here, and you can actually upload your own custom fonts from anywhere.
Mhm.
So if I click here, I can upload fonts. So you could purchase fonts from Creative Market or wherever and upload that. Also from Google Fonts, you could upload those and use that on your websites here. And all the colors completely customizable as well.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, go for it. Go for it with the images.
Cool. So yeah, on the images, there's a few things to keep in mind. So one place where I have been using AI images is in blog posts. So you can use it to generate something comical or something kind of other like surrealist that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get from a stock photo website or something like that. And so, but typically I'll put a little caption, generated with AI and something like that. Like I wrote a blog post about AI images, and I tried to get it to create an image of me, but no matter what I tried, I couldn't get it to make it look like me. It just had its own idea of what I should look like based on the description. But I used that image in the blog and kind of left the caption that sort of made light of that. But so blog posts can be an interesting way. It can be useful for ideation. So you would have seen the little animation at the sort of lightning bolt writing. So I used the image generation to come up with ideas around that initially, but then sort of redrew it once it had created. I've heard that there potentially is kind of copyright issues if you use it AI generated images as part of key sort of brand design content, because it's sort of murky around the ownership. There's things to keep in mind, like social media platforms now are automatically detecting images that are edited or generated with AI. So you might use AI to sort of remove a messy thing on the wall, and then Instagram might detect that was used AI and suggest that it was made with AI, even though kind of 90% of the image is true to life. So there's all sorts of just tricky things about that, but I do want to show what it can do. If we say here, generate an image for my blog post for cooking with gas, make it a high resolution photo of actually, let's make it an image of a gas hob. Make it a close-up of the gas hob and a modern kitchen. So it goes away, it's taking that instruction and it's generating an image based on that description. And sometimes you can get some sort of strange things back, but for the purpose of an image in a blog post, it's actually not too bad. You see there's a little bit of kind of like strangeness around these knobs here, but generally pretty good. You can sort of try modifying things, like there's also this feature where you can select different parts. So you could highlight this flame here, make this flame orange rather than blue. Sometimes it's a little bit kind of touch and go how it goes with sort of specific and context modifications, but it's still pretty exciting in terms of the potential for the future of what image generation can do.
We have a comment here. So many knobs for so few burners. There's a
Yes.
joke in there, Steph, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut. There's a joke in there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that I mean so it hasn't followed that instruction to change the color of this, but
And
yeah,
while we are
for
talking about this, I just want everyone to know that next Thursday on the 18th, we're doing a workshop where we are going to be talking a little bit more about better prompts for the image for images in AI. So get onto the platform and RSVP for that. So that Jeremy, you don't have to like go through all of it right now since we don't have a ton of time, but we are going to have a 2-hour workshop specifically going through all of that. So you all know.
awesome, great. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'll pack the AI images stuff there. Just wanted to show a little bit of a teaser of it. Yeah,
Yeah, and while we're in ChatGPT here, we did have another question. If you could go back to, can you please remind us where to find the GPT customization that you showed earlier? I'm pretty sure I have the paid version on mine, but can't find that feature. You had asked if you'd gone through that too quickly, and I was like, nah, that was fine, but I was wrong.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So up in the top right corner here, you've got a little profile kind of icon. So mine is a little diamond. And if you go in here and then to the bottom here, there's a settings option. So click that one. And then there's a little menu here for general personalization. So go to personalization. And then the top option there is custom instructions. And so this first field here is custom instructions. What would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? So thought starters here, they've said, where are you based? What do you do for work? What are your hobbies and interests? What subjects can you talk about for hours? And then this next one, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? So giving it more instructions. So one thing to note is, so I've trained this on Rocketspark. And the funny thing is when I get it to generate text, if I have a question about how long I should cook something in the oven or what temperature certain meat should be or whatever, it'll write that in the Rocketspark style as well because my custom instructions are in there set up for Rocketspark. So if you're working with multiple brands, that's where Flint is pretty awesome because you effectively have custom instructions for each website and you can keep your ChatGPT kind of unflavored, I guess, in terms of custom instructions.
That's great. We've got another question, specifically, I think, for you, Jeremy, about Rocketspark. What is the approximate cost of updating a current website, which is WordPress? They have a WordPress website, pardon my mouth, to a newer contemporary website using a Rocketspark website designer? Approximate
Yeah, so
cost.
the price can really range. So probably a good option would be to chat to the Rocketspark team. And we actually, what a lot of people don't realize, we provide a matchmaking service where we'll effectively take the brief of what you're after and we'll connect you with a designer that's the right fit for you. So, balancing if you're trying to do it for a really cost effective budget or you're looking for someone super experienced and yeah, so we can tailor that. But typically it is more cost effective than working with traditional website developers because of Rocketspark being a really easy to use platform, both for the designer and for the client. The process of designing websites is typically faster than you might find on a platform like WordPress, where there's a lot more customization. So yeah, often in the kind of $2,000 to $4,000 setup range, but it all depends on kind of what you're after. Yeah, so we can matchmake you to someone that's the right fit for what you're after.
I love that matchmaking term. Love that.
Yeah, and there is the DIY option, but yeah, it just comes down to whether you're wanting to put some budget into getting someone else to do it for you, or to invest more time but save on that upfront cost. So you've got both options with Rocketspark.
What's the best way to get in touch with someone at Rocketspark?
So you can call our team. So we've got really highly rated customer support team. It's a really key focus of Rocketspark is amazing customer support. So you can call them on 0800 Rocket or go to rocketspark.com and go to our contact page and reach out to us by email as well.
Awesome. So your pre-beta session about Flint, when will the ability to create more pages be available? So do we know? Do we have an idea?
Hopefully in the next sort of 3 to 4 weeks, we'll be
Oh,
going into beta. And typically with our beta, we'll kind of launch that with a small group of people. And yeah, those can range from about a fortnight to sort of 3 or 4 weeks. So maybe 5 or 6 weeks away. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty quick. I wasn't expecting that answer. Thank you. Amazing. Any other questions, those of you who are here with us, before I release you all for morning tea? I don't see anything. You know what? I'm going to do a quick glance at our socials. Jeremy, anything else you want to share with us before we let you go?
I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. Yeah. So yeah, really quick kind of taster of each thing, as I said at the start. But yeah, it's an exciting time seeing what AI can do to help us speed up our work in the area of marketing and website design.
Yeah, it says, what a fantastic presentation. Thanks. Great session. Thanks so much, team. Um, yeah, that is it. No, I think it's fantastic. Sorry, I'm trying to do a million things here while I'm trying to present. I'm trying to look at all of your questions. I'm trying to look at our socials. I am here. I am focused. And I just wanted to say, Jeremy, thank you. What I love about this is seeing Flint when it first was launched and then seeing what's being created now and how quickly AI is getting integrated into so much of our lives. So it's not just, pushing Flint, but for me, that's such a big deal, having a website that you can at least get a baseline for. You can go like, hey, someone, I'm throwing spaghetti against a wall, but I really like this template and, help me, Flint, help me, Rocketspark. What can I make this look like? And then go from there. And then you can go, oh yeah, like I jive with that. That really works for my brand. No, I'm not really into that. I'm going to try another template. And that's the fun thing, because you can do that within a couple of minutes, sit down for an hour, play around. Where in the past, I mean, in the olden days, everybody, which was what, 18 months ago, wasn't even that long ago. This took work. This took work. So it's amazing to get to see where we're going with this technology. So I thank you for your time, Jeremy, and your expertise and coming on and sharing your Mahi with all of us here. I am going to let you go so that you can go grab a coffee, do whatever you do. And for the rest of you, thank you for always being here and always being prepared to launch your business to the next level. I love being here with all of you and here at Digital Boost and seeing how your businesses are thriving. So thank you. Thank you. I will see you Thursday for our workshop. Please sign up for that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Till next
Thanks,
time.
Georgia.
Matewa.